Hello, Internet, and thank you very much for tuning into the Cloud Native FM podcast. And you're watching Cloud Therapist YouTube show as well. And this is the last day of the KubeCon and our day zero, second day of the KubeCon coverage. Our sixth live stream of 2025. I will ask my co-host, will this be the last live stream of the year? I'm hopefully not. There are some more in the planning and zone. But without any further delay, please give a warm and big shout out to my live stream partner, the ever hardworking and helping me on these some awesome live streaming studios. Welcome to Cloud Therapist YouTube show and Cloud Native FM, Richard.
Hey, and an occasional roving reporter as well. Don't forget that saying.
Yes, you did it.
I'm roving reporter.
You did it twice this year.
Exactly. Yeah. We did well with that. I think that was really good. Yeah. Afternoon, everybody. Good evening. Good morning, wherever you happen to be.
Yes, I remember you did it twice. You did it KubeCon London. You did it Open Source Summit, SuCon, and you did an AWS Summit London. So 3 times you are the roving reporter for me.
Actually, 4 times Platform Con as well.
Oh yeah. So how do I forget it? Yes.
Who's counting? Who's counting here?
So this means we did some. I think if we count down, we might be the one full day, 24-hour of live stream. If we count down all the live stream we did, this means we spent one full day of 2025 in front of the screen telling people how crazy it is to be at the conference.
Absolutely. Yes, indeed. So we have, again, a packed day. We're probably going to be live streaming from an hour and a half to hours. Who knows? Just depends on whether we get a chance to do some showcase crawl with our roving reporter, Colin Griffin from Cromwell. So shout out to Colin. We'll see him hopefully fairly soon. Same, we've got lots of announcements and keynotes and whatever to go through. So we're going to go through those. But maybe I thought we will start with some trivia about Atlanta again. So yesterday we did what was it yesterday? I asked Google Gemini what's the top 5 things that Atlanta is known for. So if you want to know what those are, I'm not going to repeat them today. Check out the day 1 live stream from that we did yesterday. But I asked Google Gemini again today for the top 5 food dishes from Atlanta for today. So let me run you through those. So number 1 apparently is fried chicken from the Busy Bee Cafe. It's a soul food staple, crispy, juicy fried chicken that's been locally a legend since 1947. Wow. Okay, I'd love to go and check that out next time I'm in Atlanta. That would be really good. So if you're anywhere near any of these places I'm going to mention, go ahead and check them out. Number 2, lemon pepper wings. Atlanta's signature wing, flavor, tangy, peppery, and often drenched in buttery sauce dish. Popularized by local spots like J.R. Cricket's and American Deli. So those 2 places, go and check out some lemon pepper wings. The peach cobbler, Georgia state fruit, stars in this warm, gooey dessert. Wow, that sounds really good. Topped with vanilla ice cream. That's it. I'm sold. If you mention vanilla ice cream, I'm sold. I'm up for that one. Say no more. And they're found in the Southern diners and barbecue joints. Number 4 is chicken and waffles, a sweet, savory combo beloved across the South. Atlanta's twist on it is including spicy syrup. Wow. And hot sauce for extra kick. That sounds really good. And last but not least, margarita pizza from Antico Pizza. That's the name of the place, Antico. Says not Southern, but undeniably iconic. This Napolitan-style pie is baked in 900 Fahrenheit ovens. Wow. Okay, and draws the clouds, crowds daily. So there we go. That's the top 5 dishes recommended by our very good friend Google Gemini that
Oh,
you can go and check
good.
out in Atlanta. So I envy you guys, whoever's out there. If you're watching this, anybody out there who's kind of out there, kind of being at the conference and what have you, go check out all those dishes. I think that will be
I
a
remember
really
Richard, the CNCF guys also added a ask.cncf.io chatbot from DOSU, I think DOSU. That is
hmm
the engine behind the powerful. And the DOSU is a very good thing. Me and Richard, we will need to explore because that will help us in some of the scripting of our episode as well, because it turns your texting style conversation into a little bit of scripting podcast style and emailing format as well. So
Ah,
really
okay.
trying to ask that chatbot that the CNCF
Yeah.
actually announced and launches the same questions about will they try to answer this or not, or is it just a chatbot for answering some of the cool stuff the CNCF had as well. But Richard, if you were there in the Atlanta, what will be you trying in terms of the food?
Well, which one of those would be? I don't know. I mean, I think the dessert sounded really good because it has got a vanilla ice cream in it, and that's my favorite type of ice cream. Although I wouldn't mind. Which one was it that had the chicken and waffles, which had the extra hot sauce? That sounds really good. So I might try that as well. Hopefully next time.
Yes, absolutely.
And same, we've
Great.
got lots of announcements as well, right? There's a lot
Yes,
of stuff that's
absolutely. We have
happening
some
from the
guests. We
CNCF.
have some. Absolutely. I think there are some guests will be appearing sooner on our show. So let me give us a quick updates to that as well. One thing I really shout about is about the announcement. I think it's been happened before the KubeCon as well. There's a lot of news circulating around. I think prior to the KubeCon 1 week, there's a one of my very favorite project within the CNCF is Knative is now graduated.
Ah,
It's a huge thanks. It's a wonderful project. I think I can just quickly say is like if you run serverless on cloud, you have Azure Function, Google Cloud Run, and you have serverless in AWS. But if you need serverless in on-prem server, there's nothing. There's only one, Knative. So
mm,
Knative has no competition in its regards to running on on-prem serverless. There might be some are there, but Knative is a battle-tested, proven tool. And it's also been, they have eventing, they have case serving, and they have bunch of other three or other subset of the tooling inside the Knative project. So if the companies who are using Knative for a long time and they've been worried what happened to this project, they now get to be a really bit of a good situation because it's now a graduated project. So you keep them running and make sure you can expect some more good stuff comes up in the near future as well. So Knative, all the contributor who actually joined, remember this is a very good project and you should be using it. It's been a wonderful project. Another cool project is graduated today, and I think it's graduated 1 week before the announcement happened today at the keynotes. Is Crossplane, and
woo,
Crossplane is a very good, yes. And I think the reason why I like Crossplane is, well, I know it's tough. It's not an easy, it's not a simplistic solution. It's a tough, it's have a steep learning curve. But the idea was right. If you run a Terraform, I'm a huge supporter of the Terraform. I'm still using it in my company. No blames towards the HashiCorp team. They did it so wonderfully. But the reconciliation loop is missing in Terraform. If something bad happened into the cluster, there's a no way it may traces for me what happened or what things have been wrong. Crossplane come up with this idea of using the Kubernetes API, because those are universal one, to spin up resources in the cloud or all of the different architecture there. So that's where
mm,
Crossplane is really shine. Now you can not only you can call the Kubernetes API, but you can, using the Kubernetes API, you can call the cloud providers like GCP, AWS, Azure, and you can spun resources like VMs or networking or all of the load balancer with the Kubernetes API with a built-in controller and reconciliation loops for you. So it's a very handy tool. It's sometimes complex, sometimes very, very complex, but still it's a very heavy tool as well. I think it's been, there are market, when we now have a Kubernetes resource orchestrator. Crow is also been trying to fill in the gaps. So Crossplane is now competing with Crow as well. So those two is basically been in shining. But Crossplane, 7 year of a very hard won battle. You guys did some wonderfully, and we have some wonderful friend there. Victor Farsik
We
has been a
do.
great friend of mine, and Richard. So is a there's ton of appreciation for the project. Now
Yeah,
some of the things.
he's been on both our channels, right? So
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
got a lot of time for Victor.
100%. And Richard, before I go back to you and you can cover some of the other news, I think there are some incubated project being also being generated into it. Lima is one of the project, is from the one guy who actually did some contribution back in the days as well. Akiru Soda, I believe, from Japan. And he make its own because back then there's a lot of challenges running VM in the Mac operating system. So he come up with the approach called Nerd CTL. Then later it's become a Lima oriented things. I know the Lima is now an incubated project as well. So a lot
Right.
of wonderful tooling exists in the CNCF ecosystem. And I really admire because those projects have been spun by only one people or two people in the team and now been using in a very hard core industries like enterprises. So it's been great one of the battle here. So Richard, we have few more minutes left to cover other stream, and then we have wonderful guests lined up. So I will be adding them shortly. So now your time to wrap up with the final few news.
Yeah. So so all of so the one that you mentioned, same Knative, that graduated in September of this year, Crossplane in late October of this year, and then again in late October was Dragonfly, which delivers apparently an efficient, stable, and secure data distribution and acceleration powered by P2P technology with an optional content addressable file system that accelerates OCI container launch. So again, this is another project that's I've not really heard a great deal about it, I have to say, but again, that's graduated as well in October. So again, congratulations to all of the teams and all the devs who've actually worked on these projects. Okay, I think that's it for now. There's other stuff that we will mention along the way. There's been some what else was there? There was a technology landscape radar report, which I think we mentioned yesterday, but it didn't go through. So that's also been released by the CNCF. And there's also, which was a news flash, I think yesterday, was the Cloud Native Development Report. So a couple of reports from the CNCF have come out over this week. And we'll maybe just touch on those a little bit later on. So we'll kind of break it up in between maybe our guests or something, and as we're roaming around the showcase area. But yeah, if you're ready for it, then I don't know if our first guest is ready to go.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. So without any delays, I think now we actually need to add our guest into the screen because those are some wonderful guests from our... Hello, Sarah. Can you hear us?
Hey.
Hi, how are you? Hey, Richard, how are you? Same, nice to meet you.
Thank you.
How's it
Awesome.
going?
Sarah, can you give a quick intro to our participant? And I know that during the interview, you also have to share some of the KubeCon reviews and thoughts or any memories.
Oh, goodness. I have to admit, I haven't been to a KubeCon in a couple of years now. As you can tell, I'm not at KubeCon in Atlanta right now, although everything on my LinkedIn feed looks like it is a great time. So I think I'm a little bit jealous. Yeah, I guess quick overview. I am a transformational CTO right now, doing contracting and advisory for largely financial services, but also some in the software industry as well. I know Richard from my days at HashiCorp, where I was a field CTO. So that's how we initially got acquainted. And I'm really enjoying being back on the building side a little bit in terms of that advisory and helping the acceleration of various modernizations. My jam started very much with Kubernetes and is now firmly into the infrastructure and automation side of the world.
Awesome. Thank
Excellent.
you very much. Wonderful. So listen, we have one more guest, and then we have some question to bring into our guest as well. So without any further delays, Neil Cresswell from Protainer. Wonderful. Thank you very much for joining us on the live stream for the very first time, live from the KubeCon. And Richard, Neil, tell us how the vibes are.
There in the distance. It's kind of there in the distance.
Awesome. Awesome. Neil, a very quick introduction to you and Portainer, and from the last 2 days or the 3 days when you are in the conference, how the vibes are, how the interaction with the customer or the community are.
It's been pretty full on, if I'm honest. I think there's about 9,000 people here, from what I can tell. I would say maybe 700 vendors, maybe. So it is a massive show floor. So yeah, there is a lot going on. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of movement, and there are a lot of amazing conversations from people who are simply now, I would say, getting fed up with complexity. They're looking to leverage either AI to help abstract away some complexity, or they're looking for tools to kind of abstract and simplify their lives, is how I would describe it at best. I do think that burnout is becoming a real thing, and people are saying, look, there's got to be an easier way. Can I use AI to remove a lot of burden, or can I use some tools to do so?
Yes, 100%. Totally agree with you as well. I think is like I usually call this KubeCon as the Olympics of the IT as well. If we try to ask it, a lot of the vendors, a lot of the companies, it feel like a supporting event from the different communities. And in general, it's been a very, very welcoming community for everyone for a very long time as well. So Richard, I think you have some questions for our guests, so feel free to ask. And
I do. So let me get to Sarah first and ask you, Sarah, what's kind of some of your memories from KubeCon? What were kind of some of the really sort of interesting things that you found at KubeCon? Was it kind of the communities or the talks or the buzz and the vibe? What do you remember from it?
Yeah, I think it's very much it's definitely the community. I also really love the types of conversations that you have with people, because they're very innovative and very much about what can we do, where can we push things, how can we drive creativity, how do we solve problems differently. And I think that's very different from a lot of the larger kind of trade shows and conferences that you see. Sometimes you feel a lot of this is how you do it and this is how it falls into the realms. I think KubeCon really pushes the envelope in terms of art of the possible, which I love.
Cool. And Neil, Portainer kind of seems to be a little bit unique in terms of where it is for sort of management. Everybody seems to, in this space kind of swears by, the CLI and so on. I think Portainer is kind of focusing a little bit more on a sort of a UI approach. Is that kind of, is that making it a little bit sort of broader in terms of popularity and availability? It's kind of, to sort of expand its reach as well. Is that kind of one of the sort of positives of it?
Well, we try to meet our users where they feel the most comfortable. So we actually have an API proxy, so you can use CLI tools. We have a GitOps engine built in, so if you prefer to use GitOps and code, you can do that. And yes, there is a web UI with no code deployments if you want to use that. So rather than forcing you down one particular path, we allow you to kind of choose your own adventure. And you can choose a level of user experience that matches your own needs. So our whole goal is to democratize access, and you do that by letting people choose the interface that suits their own skills, experience, and needs best.
Sure. And just another curious thing is kind of a lot of the focus seems to be more when it comes to sort of monitoring and it seems to be kind of around that observability sort of layer. How do you guys kind of fit in with that? What's this sort of, where does Portainer come in if I'm using I don't know, let's say, anything from really CloudWatch to Dynatrace to whatever. Where does kind of Potainer fit into that? And can you integrate sort of with those observability tools that maybe customers already are using?
So we have a degree of observability built into Portainer. So we try to be the 80% tool. So there's built-in observability, there's built-in user authentication authorizations, a whole bunch of capability built into the product, just without any additional tooling. And then if and when you outgrow that, then yes, you can plug in Dynatrace or Datadog or anything else on top of it, either through the API proxy or you can go directly to the underlying clusters themselves. So again, we work very, very well when you just want to deploy one tool on top of Kubernetes and then start getting value immediately. So we give you that. We focused more on, I would say, visibility or being able to discover what's available. Kubernetes is very much, if you don't know, you don't know. There's a whole bunch of incredibly amazing capability that lurks behind a CLI command, and if you don't know what that CLI command is, you can never type it. But even worse, if you don't know the CLI command exists, you can never Google it. Find out about it. So by making amazing capability visible with a button click, you can say, oh my goodness, I didn't know that was even possible, and then you can go research what that capability does. And so we're very much helping you uncover some incredibly rich capability. That's again why we're so useful in this kind of choose your own entry point.
Right. I mean, we have AI now, Neil, so we don't need to remember all the commands. We can just ask AI for it, and then get an agent to run it for us.
Except likely it'll actually hallucinate and tell you a command that doesn't.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that includes it as well. The odd
Or it
wrong
works your entire
parameter.
installation.
The odd wrong parameter that kills your whole cluster. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. We were playing around with KHGPT the other day, and you can tell that the docs have been generated by AI because its own instructions don't actually work if you follow them. It actually is giving you a whole bunch of commands that aren't actually implemented, and it's like, okay, that's pretty interesting.
Yeah. You need an AI to validate the AI, I think, or something. Yeah. Excellent.
Yes, and I
Sarah,
think the
what's
one thing really.
Right, go ahead, Sam.
Yes, the one thing is really shiny, Richard, from the UI perspective is that yes, AI can hitting the command, but what the hell is going on? And that you go inside the Portainer and check all those things, and it's been a very user-friendly UI in the back in the day, and it's been a very powerful engine because in the back in the days a lot of the challenges around. I think back in the day, remember when the Portainer come up, they have a Docker Swarm support as well. I think in 2019, 2020. Swarm is not a thing anymore, but they have been, I think, created there as well. But Neil, I know you actually launched 2 new products as well. And I remember I asked you about in the podcast as well, K9 and KubeSolo.io, I believe. So K9 is a wonderful because I love the way it's actually taking away the pain from me to writing the Docker file and all this stuff as well. But please tell us, because now it's the point to what was the interaction so far with those 2 new product launches?
Well, so get this, right? So on Sunday, I'm now flying to Houston to give a demo to a very, very large dev team on K9 because they saw it and I'm like, where has this product been? And this is 100% what their team needs. So so K9, and that's not K, the letter 9, as in the K9 tool that everyone knows. This is K9 CANINE.sh. This is a tool that a developer can point at their source code repo. The tool then uses a combination of build packs and or uploaded Docker files. It'll then automatically determine the language of the code. It'll dynamically build Docker files. It'll then upload the resultant built images to a repo. It'll then dynamically build the required manifests to deploy them, and then push them out into either dev, test, staging, or prod on Kubernetes through Portainer without the developer knowing or even caring that it's running A, as a container, and B, on Kubernetes. So the devs just get a integrate with my source code and a big blue button that says deploy. and then that is absolutely removing all of the burden of Kubernetes shift left to the devs from the devs. The other one is kubesolo, which is Kubernetes is an amazing piece of technology. Every single software vendor in the world now understands the benefits that Kubernetes can bring. There are CRDs and operators everywhere. How do you bring Kubernetes down to far edge devices? And these are devices that are very, very small footprint. How can you bring Kubernetes down to devices with 512 meg of RAM, one very slow CPU? That's kubesolo. It is a single node only Kubernetes cluster in speech marks. It has no quorum, it has no scheduler, but it is still full API compliant. You can run Helm charts, you can run GitOps, you can install Argo CD client, you can install Cortana agent, obviously. It's Kubernetes where Kubernetes really shouldn't be, at the very, very far edge. So that is another very cool tool.
Oh yes, absolutely. I remember you said to me on my podcast while we meet there as well, and I think both are the has a very unique capabilities, because I think when you're starting development in the Docker land, you need to have a very steep learning curve for entering into the container ecosystem by writing up the Docker file, making sure the tag are associated as with best practices align, and then building the images, putting them into the registry somewhere. If all of those capabilities I actually abstract with a few lines of command, that will be a great onboarding experience for the new developer in the team as well. And also in the kubesolo, I think I will be paying more attention to, because there is a more need right now in the industry to run Kubernetes in the low power devices that way as well. I think in the K3s and bunch of the other tooling provide some of the capabilities as well, but to see how the kubesolo land into the ecosystem as well. But I go back to the Sarah. Sarah, can you please tell us, because you are from Richard, I know you are both been a part of the CTO's line frame as well. And tell us, like currently and from your previous role, how is the life of the CTOs when you actually work in the HashiCorp and now in your own setup somewhere? So how the CTOs, sometimes people feel, oh no, CTOs do nothing. They actually been staying, they relax, they go into the conference, talk to the customer. They don't know what the engineering behind it.
Slightly more complicated than that. I'm in defense of all CTOs around the world.
You know what? If we make it look that easy, I will absolutely take
there you
it.
go.
I feel
Yeah,
like
we
that's
do
the
make it look
highest
easy.
praise. If you knew what was going on under the hood and the fires.
It's the swan over the water, right, Sarah?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, from the Richard, I know, because I spend time a lot. I know how busy he is all the time, even with the CTO role as well. So I can understand the pain as well. But no, you need to tell us like how the life is different from your previous role and now into the new transformational CTO role as well.
Yeah, so I'm back working more on the customer side and doing some of my own building again, which has been really fun and really neat to kind of come full circle, since I started as a software dev and then moved into DevOps, DevSecOps, and then into leadership. It's really, it's fascinating to look at it going backwards now a little bit to see how I manage different parts of a build differently or think about it differently than I would have 10, 15 years ago. What's going on inside my head? Just trying to balance everything out and make sure that you get the information that you need on the technical level that you need, and that you can understand then what are the implications in like different types of silos. So what is the impact going to be on security? What is the impact going to be on general cost? Is this going to bring added value to the top line? Is it going to help with a reduction in my bottom line? And largely also, a huge concern with the people and making sure that, you keep your people close to you and you're giving your people what you need and the opportunity to grow. And especially in a market that's changing as quickly as it is today, giving them the time and space to experiment with things. And I think that's really where AI starts coming in. Most of the organizations I've worked with or have seen either on the kind of customer side CTO roles or now back inside of the customer, I'd say most of them probably aren't ready for large-scale AI and deploying large-scale AI for multiple different reasons. A lot of that's kind of that legacy infrastructure that remains that just can't handle AI. It doesn't have the power. It's too fragile. It's too brittle. So I think that push towards containerization and Kubernetes in general becomes a lot more interesting, a lot more powerful. You're seeing like Red Hat, who I've been working with closely right now, invest a lot of time and effort into the AI space to be able to run some of these models on OpenShift, for example, and have that available to their customers. But again, I think, Neil, you nailed it in terms of the complexity behind containerization, Kubernetes, making sure that you're running a stable installation of Kubernetes. It's not an easy thing. And it takes a lot of know-how, a lot of power to really be able to tune some of those things. And then you layer something as complex as AI right on top of that, it feels like you're compounding the problem a little bit. So making sure that, you know, you give people the time and the space to understand both of these challenges and the power of both of these things, it becomes really important if you want to continue to move forward. And one of the, I think, most interesting statistics that I've seen over my years of studies is that basically the more an organization or an R&D organization invests per capita in research and development and innovation, typically the better they do in terms of revenue and returns at the end of the year. So that also makes me go, okay, well, I really need to make sure that there's the time, the space, and especially the budget for my team to be able to do this. And also, people are just happier when you give them something that they can live by and not just a button to click every day or something to execute on. And ultimately, you know, you want to keep your people, you want to make sure that you have great talent in your organizations. Making that space for people's really important.
Sarah, can I ask you a question? With your role, are you looking to try and encourage the, I would say, rejuvenation of architectural principles? You know, we used to have these amazing people called enterprise architects. Now I know that they got a bad rap, a really bad rap, right? Because they built ivory tower, architecture. However, they were useful in making sure that technology that was selected by enterprises was supportable, maintainable, replaceable, all of the functional and non-functional requirements, right? Again, there was this nasty word called TOGAF, but
almost a swear word these days.
It is, but it actually brought a lot of common sense to infrastructure management decisions. And I swear that we've kind of rebelled against that too far, and we kind of need to bring some of that back into infrastructure decision making. Do you agree? Do you see something different?
I mean, you're talking to an engineer, and so I'm somebody who I love frameworks. I love ways that I can help organize my brain, because my brain, Lord knows, is not going to do that on its own. There's a lot of sense in some of those principles. And I think part maybe of the enterprise architect kind of moving to the side has to do also with a little bit of the flattening of the hierarchy, which is indicative of what the large scale and the Googles of the world and the Amazons of the world have done. And you can see very, huge organizations. But in terms of the size of the organization, the hierarchy remains pretty flat and hyper integrated. And so do we need to bring architects back? I don't know, but I think certainly CTOs need to be aware of these decisions. And so then I think it falls a little bit more to the CTO, not to be somebody who's, hyper hands-on and knows in the code, but a little bit more theoretical in nature and a little bit more well-rounded, I think, in terms of what they address and how they address it, and making sure they understand the business aspect. How is my product going to sell? What do my customers need? And be able then to translate that into the technical needs that you then hand off to your engineering team. I think it's really important that when you're building teams like this, you build a team that you communicate really well with so that they understand what you're asking for them. You have a very clear picture in your mind about what needs to be executed on and what those deliverables are so that you can also inform them. What is the strategy? I think that's where you really see things kind of go left, is that a lot of leaders, I mean, Lord knows I've done it myself, you think you're being really clear about what you want delivered, and the reality is you aren't. And sometimes people are afraid to push back or ask questions, or there's a frustration that you think you're being hyper clear when in reality, your team needs something else. So all of these things, I think, start to fall very much on the CTO, whether, you have like a CTO by region or business unit. Larger organizations are going to have multiple CTOs. But that definitely, in short, needs to be taken into account, how you're choosing infrastructure, how you're choosing software even, and how does that relate to the broader picture of strategy and product for your customers.
Yeah, I mean, being here at KubeCon, right, and seeing the thousands of vendors on the floor, it's fair to say that probably half of them aren't going to make it, right? Because the ones that I see here today weren't necessarily here 5 years ago, right? And so being crystal clear that you have a strategy to replace a vendor when the vendor doesn't exist. I mean, honestly, did anyone ever think possibly that Weaveworks would have failed? Never in a million years, right? Never in a million years would anyone have thought that they would have failed when they did. So you always need to be thinking about, how do I replace this technology with another piece of technology, especially in the space when there are so many products to choose from and vendors.
And how do I design my systems in a way that's contextual and domain driven so that I can pretty easily swap out one thing for another without bringing down the rest of my system?
Yeah.
One point for you. Hang on, sorry. Let me just finish this point with Neil, because this is relevant to what the guys are saying here. So if you're not subscribed to my channel, Neil, you should do that, because in this recent month's Cloud State of Play, which is a monthly discussion I have, this topic came up exactly, and we called it "Architecting Backwards: How Open Source and Cloud Native is Hijacking Enterprise Architecture." So I highly recommend you checking that episode, and please subscribe to the channel to support me as well.
I will, absolutely.
Excellent.
So we have another guest joining us from a very, very good friend of mine, from Richard, and and is also from a very good company. And we lifted and shifted our focus to the security now. Adrian, thank you very much for joining us right from the KubeCon Atlanta. So Adrian, give us a quick intro about yourself and ChainGuard, and tell us how the interaction so far over the last course of 3-4 months, 2 to 3 days at the KubeCon.
Yeah, it's been great. So I'm Adrian Moat. I do DevRel here at ChainGuard. Can you hear me okay, by the way? I realize there's some background.
Yeah, all good.
Okay, great. So give a bit of background on ChainGuard. Our main product is secure container images with low to zero CVEs. But we've also recently launched libraries. So we've a new libraries product where we're rebuilding like Python, JavaScript, and Java libraries from source to try and prevent some of the supply chain attacks around that and be more malware resistant. But KubeCon's been great. I've been here since, I flew in on Sunday. So on Monday we had the day zero events. So I was at Open Source Security Con, which was well attended and great talks. And I've just been on the booth since, really.
Awesome, wonderful. Thank you very much. And Richard, we have another guest joining us for Infra OS, I believe.
Excellent.
Yeah, that's
Guy is on.
Guy Boreski from infros.io. Hello, Guy, and sorry if I'm unable to pronounce your full name. Really sorry for that. But over to you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, wait. I can hear you now. Yeah, I had two channels. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, good. How are you?
I'm
so
good.
Give us your quick intro and tell us how to pronounce your name as well.
Well, you're not special, just so you know. Okay, I get this a lot. So my name is Guy Brodetsky. Okay, I'm with Infrost. Okay, I'm head of US operations for Infrost. Infrost is a startup, an Israeli startup. What we do is we design bespoke, optimal IT infrastructures. Could be in the cloud, could be multi-cloud, could be hybrid or on-prem. And we do that using obviously AI, but also real optimization algorithms, like like all time, actually solving capacity planning equations, like a real optimization, multidimensional, optimizing for whatever is important for the customer. It could be cost, could be performance, could be resilience, availability, security. I hope deployment complexity, probably. So 7 different dimensions. And we do that in a holistic fashion. So you get to the real optimal point. So it's not just like a boilerplate architecture for SaaS, for example. Okay, you're doing SaaS, so this is how you should do it. We actually optimize it for you, for your specific needs.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Richard, over to you now if you have some questions.
Yeah, so a question for Adrian and also for Guy. Let me start with you, Adrian, first. What's kind of the latest that that you're hearing from customers in this sort of security space? Are we still hung around sort of DevSecOps and things like that, or what's kind of the latest in that area? Because there's this whole sort of AI thing is coming in. We're rapidly uploading that into Kubernetes without a single thought for any kind of security layers and things like that. What are you hearing from customers? What's the latest?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, what I hear a lot about at the minute is actually platform engineering. So that's a lot of the teams that we talk to are actually trying to sort of develop internal platforms and trying to figure out how to have security there from the start. But yeah, definitely AI is, it's always there. Some people seem to do it better than other ones. What I do hear a lot about is some people are starting to look at running the LLMs like in-house, having their own LLMs. I think that's probably for certain companies, that's the smartest way to go. Otherwise, one thing that you really have to do is like do a deal with your ChatGPTs or your Anthropics so they don't train on your own data. Because I guarantee you, your engineers are using this stuff right now. And you don't want them to be training on your internal data. So yeah.
Excellent. And Guy, for you, I'm just trying to kind of as a CTO, I always have to position people and kind of pigeonhole all the solutions for my customers so that they can kind of get a good understanding of where things fit into the whole bigger picture. So I'm trying to I had a look at kind of what you guys do and kind of where you are. Are you kind of in that continuous profiling space? I don't know if you've kind of heard of that sort of approach in terms of sort of code optimization and things like that. Is that something that you guys touch on?
Yes, but not on the code level. It's more of a higher level. So imagine you come, whatever your company, right, and you say, hey, I want to optimize my cloud. Okay, so we have a form, a platform. Essentially, you put in your information. We have our very in-depth knowledge of the cloud providers and also some hybrid and on-prem solutions. And then we have a multi-layer algorithm that will optimize, create a bespoke optimized, like I said before, like an optimized architecture for you, and give you a Terraform code with guardrails and notification mechanism within it. Okay, and you can deploy it. And now, once it's deployed, every time you will hit one of those of the limits, at some point you'll get.
We lost.
Because you keep deploying code, you keep doing new. Wait, sorry, I'm back. Okay, I was doing this. Okay, anyway, you keep deploying new features, probably spinning up new machines and whatever. You do new stuff, so you need to keep update your architecture. So we'll get you optimized and keep you optimized. So in that sense, it's similar to like continuous optimization, like you mentioned before.
Right. Okay, but it's not. Is it kind of is it surfacing and exposing a lot of that stuff up to like a FinOps tool, or like a sort of a Flexera or something like that?
No.
Okay.
No. We're what
You can
think of us.
You're doing it in real time.
So not exactly real time, but you do get like an email notification about if something happens, but we are not invoking like a run automatically. Okay, you just get notified. Hey, you need to think again about what you're doing now, right? We're not proactively doing things. Okay.
But is it like you're kind of deliberately going after those sort of that resource utilization in order to optimize the kind of the operation, or is it actually you're optimizing for cost? What's the kind of so it's kind of, in other words, is the cost kind of a byproduct of what you guys are doing? If you kind of save the resource here,
can you see my shirt here? We say so. Anyway, our slogan is, "It's the architecture, stupid," right? I mean, you could get a FinOps. I mean, I just came back from KubeCon. Okay, so you see a bunch of firms telling you, yeah, we can we will reduce your cost by doing X and Y. You need to install our app, blah blah blah. But what we think, and I mean, we reduce cost on average by 43%, right? But it's only by just design the right architecture for you. Don't take premium storage if you don't need it. Okay, don't use. You could use spot instances if you don't need. If you don't need reserve. It's kind of. I know it sounds very, very simple, but you will be surprised about that, right? So we're not necessarily we don't. So if you design correctly, you'll get lower cost, obviously. But it's important to say we are not a FinOps tool, okay? So we optimize. If you tell me that this is what's important for you is cost, then yes, we'll optimize for cost. But you could optimize for performance, resilience, like I said before, availability, etc.
Yeah, no, I understand that, and I think that's why I was trying to make the distinction as to which side of that sort of coin you guys are on, because sometimes, I mean, it's advantageous, I think, to have both capabilities. You're essentially, like I said, as a byproduct, just like hopefully Polar Signals, which we're going to have on later on today. I think they have a stand at the showcase area, so they're kind of doing something similar, but as I said, kind of in the code space. So again, they're looking to optimize code, but they're as a byproduct of that is actually a sort of a cost saving as well, because they're saving on the cloud resource and so on. So I think it's just important to kind of try and distinguish that, which I was kind of trying to really understand from you. Excellent, Adrian. Back to you for another question. What's kind of the latest with ChainGuard? Where are you guys kind of going? What's sort of some of the things that you're working on?
Yeah, so the major sort of new thing is library product. That's what we're trying to build. The npm libraries, everything from source. So if you think about like the recent npm incidents, quite a lot of infrastructure attack. What will happen is a maintainer is compromised, and they use that maintainer's credentials to upload like a new blob to the npm or PyPy or whatever. And the problem is that blob, or the interesting thing is that blob probably doesn't match the sources. Like the sources on GitHub are still okay. It's just that they've used this pack or whatever to upload a malicious version. So at ChainGuard, one of the things we do is we build everything from source. So you immediately cut out, that attack. And of course, we run some other malware identification things on it as well.
Yes, I think go back to the Adrian once here as well. I think, Adrian, can you give us a little bit about the adoption rate, or any things you have been noticing, because the ChainGuard images is quite been quite heavily been adopting these days. It's not just the companies, but the other open source project has been utilizing the ChainGuard images as well. So the adoption rate is currently spiking up as well. So can you give us a quick updates around, number one, for the people really new to the ChainGuard images, what the ChainGuard images are, and how much the rate you are actually spiking up in terms of the usage, or any new updates or any new technologies changes happen in that space as well?
Yeah, so we renamed it actually from ChainGuard images to ChainGuard containers, because we also have VM images and we didn't want the confusion. but yeah, you're right. Like there's a lot of users, I mean, all our customers are enterprise, but we're also selling to smaller companies as well now. We reworked the pricing, so as there's now subscription pricing, so you can like get a subscription to like a whole, the majority of our images all together rather than buying individual images. Custom assembly is probably like the area that we've been looking at and working on recently. So that's the idea that we will build like a customized version of our images inside our like Salsa hardened software factory and keep it up to date. So if you need like I don't know, a Redis image, but you also need like curl and I don't know, Git in there for whatever reason, we'll do that. We'll build that. We'll make sure it's always up to date and always for your CVs. And then you can pull that directly, and you don't have to do the work of doing a Docker build yourself and adding in those tools yourself today.
Yes, absolutely. I think recently I actually asked some of the AI agent in the cloud code, here's my file. Let's build an optimized version of my Docker file as well. And one of the things is recommended to me to replace my base images to the chain guard images as well. So it's not just me, but the other tooling is also being quite aware of it as well. Just a quick question to the infra side of things as well. I think in the last KubeCon, we heard a lot of the enterprises talk about observability, take some actions. So people said, oh, if you are actually just sending me some alerts or some optimization tactics to me, and then ask me to verify those, it's going to be a still task for the developer. And sometimes developer, to be honest, they won't look at the alert messages or what's the Slack alerts to me as well. So in the infra OS space, are you guys looking in the near future to point out to the customer by re-architecting the remediation design for that? Once it's been providing the suggestion, and one it's been pinpointing the remediation step for them as well. Is there something you are looking into adding into the new capabilities?
So I think we should look at it from a different perspective. Actually, we are not one more tool to add to your stack. Okay, essentially we actually replace. You could say that we replace like 40 tools. Okay, okay, because again, if you design it correctly, you don't need so many FinOps tools and all those like local optimization. Okay, if you actually I'll keep saying it, but we are like a real optimization tool in the sense that you have an algorithm scanning the full space. Okay, and if you design it correctly, and a human cannot do that. Okay, that's one of the reasons when I walked around KubeCon, I saw so many booths of companies optimizing, this and that, and all of them are good, and all of them will do like tens of percent, like 40% reduction in cost, 30% faster deployments. But it's only because everything is so complex, right? Then obviously, everywhere you look at, you could optimize, right? We just okay, you know what? Let's take a step back, optimize everything together. Tell me what you want to do. I'll optimize everything for you together, okay, with one tool instead of getting like a plethora of tools. And now you pay all of those subscriptions, and also you need to start installing and versioning and all that. Okay, we are taking a step back, solving everything together. So we do get notification. I mean, you could use an observability tool if you really want to know what's going on. Obviously, you probably should. But you don't need the other tools, okay? And also just like a figure I like giving. If you look at the hyperscalers, each of them has probably like 10,000 SKUs, right? So you have this CPU, that CPU, this GPU, that GPU, 10 different kinds of storage. Each of them has anywhere between 10 and 100 fields, right? A human being cannot. One more thing, and you can connect them and it will work, right? I can connect me, like Guy, who is not so technical. Right? By the way, I did it. I can connect a CPU with S3 and some networking, right? It will work, and then at the end of the month, I'll get an invoice, and I say, "Oh my God, it actually costs a lot of money." Okay, and I thought it's free, right? By the way, it's a real story. Okay, so if you now think about something more complex, it's just a human being cannot actually create a bespoke, optimal architecture for your needs, because every company is different. Okay, even An e-commerce here is not the same as an e-commerce there. And SaaS here is not the same as a SaaS there. And what I really like about our solution is that e-commerce, SaaS, AI cloud, whatever your use case is, all of them are possible solutions coming out from our engine, right? Because we have this long list of like a multi-layered algorithm with actual equations we solve for, right? And all of those architectures are possible solutions for that equation, right? So we can service all of those use cases with one tool, essentially, right? We're not an optimization tool for SaaS. We're an optimization tool for whatever IT infrastructure you have.
Yeah.
That
I was
sounds
going
very
to, so I was just going to bring in Sarah, just kind of get her view on both of these areas, and whether, Sarah, you're kind of hearing this from customers as well. Are they even aware of stuff like what, the likes of Adrian and Guy's sort of organizations, actual vendor sort of space is doing on these things?
I think to a certain extent. So I know that ChainGuard, and also because I know a lot of really good people who are at ChainGuard currently, a lot happening in that space. And I think, trying to understand how do you integrate security as early as you can into a platform. The reason of having an engineering platform being that you want to abstract out as much of the complexity as possible for your day-to-day dev teams and reuse components in a way that, makes sense and is cost efficient and just easy to use. And then in terms of what do I build, how do I build it, I think it makes a lot of sense what you're saying, Guy, that they need some guidance in terms of what do I do, how do I do it. And it's really easy to, I think, to make fun of people, myself included, where you hook things up in a way that seems completely illogical. But if you don't know what you're doing and you've never seen it before, and this is your first kind of stab in the dark at something like this, then it's really easy to make mistakes like that. There's a reason why you build teams with people who come from different perspectives and look at things differently. It's because, they'll expose things like this and expose things, in a way that maybe you haven't thought about. And so making sure that they have some of the guidance, especially if it's their first time around, to be able to put these things in play becomes hypercritical. And it's really easy to end up with a cloud bill that's just, astronomical. And I joke frequently, I get a monthly AWS bill for 43 cents, and I have no idea where it comes from. I've been through my accounts. I don't know how many times, I've used Terraform to tear everything down. It's still there. It's been there for years now. So now I'm like, okay, well, that's my contribution to AWS.
It actually reminds me that typically when I ask CIOs I talk with, what's your cloud spend? And all of them will tell me, I need to look at the invoice. I don't know, because, it goes up and down, and, next month is not like last month. You never know, right? Yeah. And you have this spike you never planned for. That's another thing we do. Into the Terraform we give you, we inject these guardrails, so you will not be surprised. We actually reduce those surprises by like 80%. Okay, so you'll have budget compliance. Okay, so you will not get that. What? It's 200K a month. I plan for 100K, right? So,
yeah, or just the dev who goes in is like, I'm just gonna up the CPU, and nobody's gonna know, and nobody does know until the bill comes, and then when that bill is 500,000.
Sometimes you don't plan for that. You just have a spike in usage, and you didn't plan for it, right?
No, I don't think you ever plan for it.
Well, yeah, that's why it's called a surprise, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just a one quick question before sometimes some of the listeners listening to us right now, and they go into the Infra OS website, and like if some the companies are always in a different phases. Some companies are moving from cloud to the cloud native way of saying, from VM to the container. Some companies has challenges on operationalizes challenges on container ecosystem. Some are actually moving into the AI side of the thing, making sure the stuff is running. So if somebody is just discovered today Infra OS, so what sort of the customer is you're actually been hitting you most? And what was your onboarding experience to the customer one, regardless of which stack they are living in, regardless of which technology they have or not? What are the typical onboarding experience they have when they start using InfraOS?
So we have a few tens of customers, mostly in Israel, both public and private sector, and we've been. I want to say that many of them were experiencing difficulties in migrating from either an on-prem to a cloud solution, or from one cloud to another, or surprisingly they had very poor performance, and we could, let's just like one of the examples is for your use case, you might do exactly the same architecture, just do it in Azure, and you'll have a better performance, okay, at less cost, right? For example, so you need to know those things. So we actually, again, we have very different customers with very different use cases. And we at this point we're it's my birthday today, and also it's the birthday of the company.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. So it's 1 year. The company is 1 year old, and we already serve tens of customers, very different ones with very different use cases. Okay, and we're looking forward to expand into the US right now. The platform is about. We started as more of a services company with like with back office technology, and now we created that back office into. Thank you. And we created a back office technology. Now it's a self-serve platform. Okay, so we're actually looking forward to seeing how self-serve is it in the next few months.
Yes, absolutely. I think somebody listening to us, because they're really be delighted, because as you mentioned, in the ecosystem we're living in, there's a lot of tooling. I think at least 6 or 7 tooling in every infrastructure these days, and
Yes.
they have their own patches, their own releases, their own upgrades time, and sometimes it's work on some machine, some system, some configuration, some environment, other they don't. So they're really looking forward to some companies or some principle they really adopt to actually taken away from the tooling sprawl, because that's used in the ecosystem we live in. And
Right.
as you know, if the developer hit into any new tool, they want to experiment with it. Like, oh, I want to do this, we don't want to do that. But in terms of how the business work, they need to understand how much the cost, how much the upgrade time, the onboarding time, that you need to take into the consideration. And sometimes you don't need to swap the technologies. It's been a little bit adjustment of the infrastructure or the architecture that make your day worse from the best one. So I think it's very good to hear from you. Just from a 1 year experience, it seems like a very good solution. So Richard, make sure we have to set our calendar for having some full-flash podcast with our guy, because it's been this deserve a
yeah, well, definitely. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, looking forward. I'm looking forward for a full hour. I can show you a demo. It's gonna be great.
Yes, that would be awesome one. Absolutely.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Richard,
so everybody heard. They promised a full hour. Fantastic.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. We appreciate your time. It was nice to meet you and connect with you, and for you to spend some time with us today. It's been very informative. Really appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Adrian, one other question I had for you, please. What are you hearing about sort of AI? Is this kind of coming in now? Are you sort of getting a lot of that from customers, and how are you guys sort of really, sort of rising to that challenge?
Yeah, I mean, we're still involved in containers and libraries. So we're not directly selling AI, but yeah, everybody's talking about it. We use it internally, but we have to be very careful about how we use it. So, we can use it to check things and help us debug things. But yeah, we don't necessarily have AI writing all our code at the minute. Everything's very strictly checked. Definitely our customers are using it. And I think the big thing I would say is like all companies need to be looking at it and coming up with ways for their engineers to use it safely, because all your engineers probably are using it whether you know it or not. So yeah, that's the big thing that we see is like just having to make sure there is policies in place for people to use it safely.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think the issues, as we were kind of saying earlier, is that there's a lot of shadow AI. I think people are kind of calling it. Lots of people doing their own thing, that throwing a credit card on ChatGPT Pro, or just building their own model and said, "Hey, I'm running one on my local laptop," sort of thing. I've just downloaded all the company non-disclosure agreements on there and stuff like that, slides and whatever. Just trying to get something working. So I thought that was the best thing to train it on. So yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that, and also I'm hearing a lot in T systems. We're kind of focusing a lot more on sort of sovereignty. There's a lot of that sort of on the continent. Clearly as well, sort of, especially sort of in the EU bloc. And one of the things that's kind of come out of that is IP. So intellectual property sort of theft, or just uploading it into a model, and then you don't know what's happening. And then before you know it, it's kind of the rest of the continent knows what you're doing because you've spoken to a public model or something. And I think that's also seems to be a concern. But in terms of kind of building these environments, how is sort of ChainGuard looking at the sort of if somebody's kind of going to put an AI model into Kubernetes cluster with container images and stuff like that, is that something that you guys would also sort of look in terms of securing as well? Is that kind of part of your remit?
Purely from like the containers perspective at the minute, so like we have AI images to let people like run their own LLMs and or build their own models and stuff. So we help from that perspective to try and get them sort of more secure. Some of the AI images, they're big and they have a lot of CVE, so we're trying to help out on that level at least. But it's complicated because you've got to match your versions of your GPUs. Code to like your Python versions and everything else, and it's complicated. It's not easy to build those images at all.
Yeah, I mean, I've looked at some of the architectures. They certainly look very quite complex, kind of in terms of how the models work. It's just the sort of the training side, never mind the inference side of it. Seems to be quite complicated on that side of it. One last question for you that I have is, how are you finding KubeCon Atlanta?
Yeah, it's great. It's I've mainly been on the booth floor, but it's a good buzz. It's a nice city, and you can have a quick look around.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And I heard it was all one. The showcase was all on one floor this time, one hall.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah, this is a big conference center. I'm not sure of the numbers. This feels bigger than Salt Lake City, but yeah, one big hall.
Right. Excellent.
Yes, we were joking about. I think we're joking like with our roving reporter Colin is we need a bicycle for traversing to the booth here as well.
Unicycle.
Yes, absolutely. Or skateboard.
I thought we settled on one of those electric bikes or something yesterday.
Oh no, I think it's the unicycle. Unicycle or die. Unicycle and die. That could be very possible.
That's very good. So, Adrian, before I let you go, just one question. I think some of the organization, if somebody's looking into all of this, now we have a security umbrella and is an AI umbrella. Is there some conference, or is there a community, or is there some foundation? Those are looking at the two perspective in a one umbrella, like AI and security, as a mix of both, or it's because, but the challenge here is you sometimes need to take a look at the different foundation, different organization, and sometimes you don't have all of the time to look at it from all the different vendors. So is it one foundation that is taking care of all these AI and security?
Not that I'm aware of. I'd be interested to hear of any. I do know, like Hannah Foxwell runs a really great conference in London for AI for the rest of us. That's maybe more introductory, selling it short, but it's more helping people get started rather than anything else.
Oh yes, absolutely. Because I think right now the challenge is like around like there's a lot the Open Source Summit is a conference, Security OpenSSF is representing another conference, and there's an AI conference happening. And sometimes organization said, how many times we put our engineering member into these conferences? because it's take a dedicated amount of time. And there's another problem like, oh, in KubeCon, let's Adrian go there. In Open Source Summit, let's go Simon go there. And from the AI rest of us, let's add Richard there. So bunch of 5 conferences. It's a we live in an island. Like nobody aware of all the stuff happening and make the data available for the rest of the organization so they can start working internally there as well. Also, and also, Hedden, have you looked at this? Some of the things launched yesterday. Are you thinking from the chain guard perspective, contributed to the AI conformance test, conformance benchmark, or conformance area that the CNCF guys recently, I think they announced yesterday at the keynote around AI conformance testing. So let's say if they actually adding those set of umbrellas, so is that from your perspective, is the company is the company is going to CNCF for those kind of conformance testing, even from the chain guard perspective? If they have some AI benchmark, will you be guy going there and asking to being just the thoughts around on this one?
I have to say, I've not seen this AI benchmark, to be perfectly honest, so I don't have too many thoughts. I'd be interested to take a look at it. Yeah, I mean, I think you bring up good points about like the open SSF and trying to, get everything working together. And yeah, nobody knows everything, and everybody comes in at from different points of view, and that's why we end up with titles like DevSecOps. I'm sure we've now got AI DevSecOps. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I wish there is not a more title like MS SecOps as well. I will be out from this word because there is so many ops here as well. But we have some CTOs here as well, because I ask the same question to those CTOs as well. Like I said to that, like we have 5 different conferences, like in OpenSSF, CNCF as a KubeCon twice a year. Richard has been going to every conference is happening in the London. That's a great thing, Richard. But from my point of view, like organization, I can't see a one universe. Sometime only a universe, one face is going to every conferences, and sometime multiple people going to the multiple conferences. But we never ingest all this data internally within the organization to tell ourselves where we need to focus on. So, from Sarah, from your perspective, what would be the strategies organization adopt here?
Communication. I know. I mean, it sounds.
Simple as that.
I don't. Now, sometimes when people ask me what I do, I tell them I'm a translator, because that's my job, is to be able to translate requirements between people and make sure that everyone understands, particularly in the digital space, where people stand. There's always biases, confirmation biases, affirmation biases, and I think it's really easy. As somebody who leads an organization, first of all, there's not a lot of time to get out to some of these conferences, and you're always going to be more comfortable to stay in the conferences and that circuit that you've kind of worked in, you've understood over the years. For me, like if I were to go to a finance conference, I would be so far out of water, like I wouldn't know where to start. Yes. But maybe that's where I should start, right? And trying to get some of the finance people or security people to come to the pure dev conferences. And then just as a leadership team, making sure that you're setting a strategy that's very clear in terms of what do you want to deliver and what do you want your people to deliver? Because then, it's kind of the job of managers and people adopting that strategy to go, okay, this is the North Star. This is where we need to go. This is where I need to start adopting that. But if you don't start at the top and you don't start with the strategy, and as leadership, you don't support your people, you're never going to get anywhere, because you can try to build, you can try to build, you can try to build, you can try to change culture, you can try to change people. But if they don't know what they're trying to deliver on, or have a clear path forward of how they're trying to deliver on that, it becomes almost impossible to really unify an organization.
Yes, and on the same question, and that's one for you. Which one of the conferences CTOs should attend and which one not?
I think a lot of it's preference. Speaking as somebody who is relatively introverted, I have a really hard time with KubeCon because it is so big and so noisy, and there's so many people, and the longer you're in the industry, the more people you know and the more people you feel like you need to talk to. So for me, it just feels like a ton of pressure. I really like the smaller conferences. And even some of the vendor conferences tend to be really nice if you're trying to look into a certain area or really get up to speed in terms of like, I'm not a data person, so I've been trying to understand data a little bit more. So looking at some of the things like from Datadog or Snowflake to understand, you know, where is that world going and how do you start using some of those best practices to pull into what I am comfortable with, which would be infrastructure.
Yes. Richard, your thoughts on the conference, because you actually attended a lot, and
I said Richard is my proxy. I'm like, Richard, tell me, what did they say?
As well as doing a full-time job as well at the same time. I think I agree. I think to a degree with Sarah. I think there needs to be a sample. I mean, I attend them not just kind of for the, you know, for the heck of it. I'm really there to learn, and also most importantly, I don't want to be an expert in everything. I want to talk to Adrian. I want to talk to Sarah. I want to talk to, you know, Guy, who was earlier on, some of our guests from yesterday, because they're the freaking experts in these areas. I don't want to be an expert in those areas. I will never be an expert in those areas. But I will speak to Adrian because I know Adrian is in that particular space. And if I want to, you know, pick any brains in regards to something and ask a question, I know Adrian's the guy I can go and talk to. And I think for me, you know, what I can get from Adrian and all the sort of other connections that I have and sitting in a lot of these events and some of the talks is both thought-provoking stuff, so stuff I never thought about before, and kind of somebody just puts it in their slide and I go, that's interesting. So I can go and think about that for a bit, so that new idea, that new concept. But also I can learn something new. And for me as a CTO, go and articulate that to my customers to say, hey, look, you know, we are doing this, or the industry is going in this direction. One of the ones that I'm doing at the moment, for example, which might be very simplistic, you know, for all of us, is actually talking about more around platform engineering to customers, not just doing DevOps, basically. So that kind of classical approach to DevOps, you know, is morphing into platform engineering, SRE, GitOps, you know, all these other sort of factions that are really kind of, you know, falling under that sort of tree or sitting under that umbrella, I should say, of DevOps. But, you know, they bring in their own tools. They bring in their own practices. There's, you know, team topologies to look at, and there's all sorts of other sorts of stuff. And I think that I want to put that message out to my customers. I'm not like 100% convinced with platform engineering or a massive fan of platform engineering, but I can see it's a movement. I can see that, you know, from our discussions with Colin Griffin, who's on a lot of the groups and committees as well. You know, this is a movement. There's tools. I've got a bunch of books back here that somebody gave me around platform engineering. So it's definitely a movement, and I can see the advantages. So I really want to make our customers, my customers, really aware of that they have to be cognizant of this and not just kind of think of DevOps and try to achieve DevOps. So that's really what I get out of it. You know, the connection, the learning, talking to experts, and then being able to articulate that back to my customers.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. I 100% totally agree. But I think I wish, like as Sarah told us, the communication is the key. What I find is like kind of unique, like somebody came into the KubeCon or some the conference, they actually have a 1 week of the break, and they deserve 1 week of the break as well, because it's been a big conference, and you actually have to meet to all of the people. And once after the 1 week of the delays goes up, oh, there's a customer challenges here. Oh, there's nothing working there, and we forget about we actually been there at the KubeCon, and I need to circulate this feedback into the company. And this way all lost the data, and then everybody start planning to the new conferences there as well. So as to Sarah's point, I think communication is the key, and I think it's one of the best way to learning about the new tool technologies and the trend as well. So It's been great. So I think, Richard, we might have a full dedicated episode on this subject as well. It's going to be a very interesting.
I think so. And we've got the guests right here, so we can invite Adrian and Sarah back on.
Absolutely.
Sarah, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Adrian,
so much.
thank you as well. The rest of KubeCon as well. Yeah, and safe travels back, mate. Yeah. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Nice speaking to you.
Thank you, Adrian. All right, fantastic. I think that was a really good discussion. There's lots of stuff there. So
Richard, before I let you go, before we wrap up anything, we need to ingest the data from the CNCF technology radar. That's very important because always me and you personally talk about it. Oh, I love Knative. I love Crossplane. I really have a wonderful biasness toward Linkerd, but all the enterprises are using it. What are the use cases they have been using it? That data is very important for anyone to be able to join us. So, and there are some good. Thank you very much, Noah, for appreciating our efforts here.
Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
That's give us a motivation to for these long-running shows, the marathon kind of shows as well. So, Richard, back to you. Give us some analysis on the technological report from the CNCF radar.
Yeah, so I think there was a couple of announcements recently that I picked up on. So I'll just highlight those, and then I think we've got some links for those. So let me just get to my notes. So I think one was the CNCF Technology Landscape Radar report. So developer trust is coalescing, it says in the synopsis for that, around a new generation of production-ready AI tools. This report reveals which AI inference engines, ML orchestration frameworks, and agentic AI platforms are leading the adoption and why. So it focuses on top-rated AI tools, the adoption data of those tools, and also the agentic AI on the rise, which kind of explores more how open and interoperable architectures are shaping the next phase of AI systems as well. So all of that is in this technology landscape radar report. Obviously, we're not going to be able to do the whole thing justice right now, but we will maybe get around to doing something on it in the future. I will paste the link for that. Let me just do that now. So this is the tech report, landscape report. Let me just get that on there. Put that into the Here we go. And then do the link if I can. There we go. Yeah, so I think that was an interesting one. There was another one as well, which I picked up on. Apologies if this doesn't complete in one go, but it should come in. Yeah, it's kind of, fortunately, the message is kind of put it into two boxes there, but I'm sure you can copy and paste that. Now, the other one, which was a news flash from the CNCF, is the State of Cloud Native Development Report. So Cloud Native is the foundation for modern software. This report reveals how developers are scaling, automating, and modernizing their infrastructure to deliver faster, more resilient applications. Now, in this particular report, it's looking at developer adoption, so where adoption is accelerating the fastest and which communities are driving the shift. Infrastructure models, so how they are changing the economics of cloud computing. That's going to be an interesting one to look at, actually. And then cloud native principles, why they are extending far beyond containers and microservices. So this, I think, maybe goes back to a little bit in terms of what we were saying earlier and what Neil was actually talking about, and what I've just, like I said, finished talking about on Cloud State of Play as well. Is this kind of ball of mud? I think it was termed on where was it? It was the Harness Unscripted event that I attended, and they were talking about this sort of ball of mud sort of thing, which it's the old way of thinking about kind of how you're doing you're doing the architecture sort of from the ground up. So you're knocking out all these things. You're building stuff in the cloud, but you're not doing the enterprise architecture aspect of it. You're just kind of making things work and moving from there. So I think that is, I think the guy who was there actually, I'll try and remember the screenshot or the photo that I took, but he kind of put up a sort of a spaghetti junction of roads and or was it not actually it was an architecture diagram, but it was just kind of the interconnects were just all over the place on this architecture diagram. And I think that's kind of what is being created in the open source and cloud native space. And clearly we need a kind of a balance, I think, between that and what Neil was saying about sort of classical enterprise architecture, that sort of TOGAF way of approaching things and what have you. So yeah, we can't really continue as they are. And I think to a degree, we're seeing this already with microservices, right? People are kind of saying the microservices layer is very chatty. There's a lot of network traffic flowing in that, and there has to be kind of a way to reduce some of that sort of activity, some of that traffic. So so that's kind of, I think, part of it as well. So this one, is an interesting another report. Again, we'll maybe, like I said, can't really do it justice here, but we'll try and look at it maybe in the future if we get a chance. I might actually pick up on it in Cloud State of Play. We'll see. But it's another interesting report, I think, from the CNCF. And these, I think, come in very easy to read, sort of presentation style documents. So it's not too deep, I think, to get it to read it and be able to digest it. I can't hear you. I think you're on mute, Saim.
Yes, thank you. I think one thing we learned today and yesterday from the speaker guest is that is now the time is now we're moving towards the architectural decision side of the cloud native era. Is that tooling I think tooling has stopped in the 2023, 2024 era. I think the tooling has been evolving quite rapidly from 2017 to 2023. Then the company is realizing there's so much in the landscape. Now we need to put up the pieces together to tell the enterprising the right set of balance between the technological synergies and synchronization between the workload. So I think today we'll learn from infra OS, and also we'll learn from the Neil Creswell, and yesterday for minimal viable Kubernetes, and from other guests as well. We understand now the companies and the individual and the contributor and the CEO of the companies is being able to go and pushing towards to providing the architectural consideration for all of tooling. So that's nice to hear, because and we both know it takes humongous amount of time for a startup company to learn all those steps, and they never able to figure out like what side of the right balance for me from the innovation angle to the cost barrier angle as well. Yes, developer can use Flux, Argo CD, Kyverno, Open Policy Agent, Prometheus Grafana, Knative, Crossplane. Yes, you can do it. It can ease your developer, but you work in the entire organization. Whatever you bring into the organization, it's not just about me. It's affecting or benefiting other people as well. and without having a right set of navigation path, you can't be a beneficial in the long run as well. So I think that is so I so I think that's a very good things to hear about as well. And I think this mean we need to bring those guests again, because we want to want to see some demos of the things we talk about in the last 2 days of the podcast on the live stream as well.
Yeah.
So some very good lesson from the student, and some people we won't might be able to change, but hopefully in the near future we can bring them on in our YouTube shows to talk about their offering, their products, and their featuring.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, I agree, and I think there's a lot more. I mean, obviously, at KubeCon, that we can maybe sort of cover in the future. I think we're having some problems with Colin Griffin's sort of connection, so unfortunately, we may not be able to do the showcase crawl for today for this particular one. But Amsterdam will definitely be there. I'm definitely aim to be there for next year on that. So just a couple of other points from me. So apparently, same. This might surprise you. IBM was holding a quantum developer conference at the same time in Atlanta. So that was an interesting one. I'll put the link in the comments. I don't know if it's in the same location. I didn't have a chance to have a look at it, but yeah, apparently IBM's holding a quantum developer conference, a QDC 2025. So I'll just share the link for that. There we go.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
I know you're very fond of quantum stuff, so
yes, I am.
I'll
so
leave that
much.
as a surprise and then tell you about it.
Oh my God! It's happening. Like it's 9 a.m. EST. It's the same time as of the KubeCon, and
Yeah.
it's been running for I think yes, 12, 13, and 14. Oh my word! That's a same day as of KubeCon. Oh my God! Oh, Richard, I will be looking forward for a time where we actually been live streaming the Quantum
Yeah.
Developer Conference in the near future. Oh my
That'll
God!
be an interesting one to attend. I think next time if we can get a ticket to
Yes,
attend and maybe cover that one.
it's happening in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Not the
Yeah.
same building, but it's been interestingly the same time as of now. So
Yeah.
in some of the world there are.
Yeah. Let me.
So here's
I'm
a
just
link.
curious to. Yeah, I'm just curious to just go through the keynotes that happened today. So let me just kind of run through those very quickly because we kind of covered most of them from yesterday and I think the day before for the for the Tuesday starting keynotes. So today, our very good contacts from Syntasso, Abby Bankser, was actually on one of the keynotes. So she's a principal engineer at Syntasso. So her talk was beyond operations.
So allow me to. Yes. Yes,
Sorry.
go ahead, but Abby Bankser needs a clapping. Because this is his
Yeah. So her talk was called Beyond Operations, Scaling Platform Engineering in the CNCF Community. There was a sponsored keynote called Cloud Scale Enterprise AI, how Cohere runs on open source with Oracle Cloud. That was by Anand Krishnan, the VP of Products at Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. Another keynote, Community-Driven Evolution of the Kubernetes Network Driver by Lionel Juin. He's a software engineer at Red Hat. And another sponsored keynote. So how many is that? That's two sponsored keynotes. Yeah. Sponsored keynote, second one to Scaling Smarter, Simplifying Multi-Cluster AI with Cato and KubeFleet. That was from George Palmer, Principal PM Lead for Azure Kubernetes Services at Microsoft. And then the next one was a keynote called Cloud Native Back to the Future, The Road Ahead, from Jeremy Ricard, Principal Software Engineer at Microsoft, and Alex Cherkop, Chief Architect at Akamai. Keynotes, I think this is the last one on here, Predictive Scaling and Capacity Planning with Machine Learning at Amazon.com. That was by Artur Souza, as a Principal Engineer at Amazon, and John Peng Wang, who is a Senior Applied Scientist at Amazon. So interesting ones. I have no idea what most of those titles actually mean, so probably have to go back and watch the video to make any sense of them. Now, just one other one which totally perplexed me in terms of the title, and I thought I'd pick on this one from all the ones that kind of have happened over the last few days. I think this was a talk that happened yesterday, and the title is called Models as Microservices, Platforms as Partners, Collaboratively Building ML Infra at Hinge. And that's by somebody called Stephanie Pavlik, who is at Hinge. Now, I have no idea what that means, but I was completely confused by
I
that.
need to check how because in the CFP of the title, there is a limitation of the words, of how many words you need to add into the title of the talk. If that's much of the words have been added, I can do some fancy talk in the next time around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. If it's all about kind of a competition on titles and so on, then yeah, definitely we'll definitely do that. Yeah, absolutely. Cool. All right. So I think Colin is unfortunately unable to join us because he has some connection problems with the Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Again, I mean, I'm really surprised because hasn't KubeCon happened already in Atlanta a couple of times already? I'm sure it has. So I don't know why they have Wi-Fi problems this time around. It's not as bad as our experience with where was it? reInvent last year, 2024.
Yes, absolutely.
That was in Vegas. Oh my God, that was really bad. that was terrible. I mean, I think we had John Hammond, who was from AWS, actually went outside and used his 5G connection in order to get a better connection. And even then, it wasn't very good. So poor man, he even he did his best, but he was struggling with that as well. Okay, so I think we can probably wrap up. I just wanted to thank all of our guests for today. So Neil, Sarah, Adrian, Guy, who turned up as well, and everybody else has actually been on the live stream for the last couple of days. So yeah, really cool that we had the folks on, had some really good conversations. Obviously, we can't do the event justice. We're not there, so we can't really sort of do our usual coverage of that. But yeah, plenty of stuff for you guys to check out on the CNCF website. So please go ahead and do that. I suspect all of the stuff, as usual, the CNCF will put out all the videos. They record everything of all the talks from all the days, all the keynotes, everything else gets recorded. So as it ends up on YouTube, we'll maybe point to that at some point. But just check out the CNCF YouTube channel. I'm sure it'll be there in maybe a week's time or a couple of weeks' time. I don't know how long they take. They kind of normally take that long. The number, I think the record is still with the UK, with London, for the number of attendance. It was 9.2 thousand this time around. So that's 5K short, 5K shy of London, KubeCon London. So I'm very happy with that we're still holding the record for total number of attendance. But yeah, I think it seemed to be like a good turnout. Some good graduated projects, good to see Crossplane, for example, and Knative making it. So that's really good. Yeah, and we got a chance to kind of speak to a couple of Datafy and Intros as well, Intro OS as well. A couple of new faces on the block, so to speak, for us to have new conversations with as well. So I'm very happy with that. Yeah, I think that's it for me. Anything else?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much. I think we're able to find some very new tools, and I think some people are finding out what's coming out of the new KubeCon. So Datafy.io infra or Infros is also a very good project. So
Mm.
make sure you have to tune into this YouTube channel, Cloud Native FM and Cloud Therapist, because sooner we will be inviting them for a live demos of their project, because
Definitely.
they're actually having some very good project. And remember, guys, there's more of the tools. Actually, more of the companies will be participating with a laser focus eye on the KubeCon agenda, and we will definitely adding those people in our YouTube channel as well. So KubeCon, our experience is to tell people who are sitting there in their home, and they're wanting to know what's happening, what's been talking about at the conference. I'm not there, I've been stressed. So you don't need to be stressed. We just tune into this YouTube channel, and that's where we
Absolutely.
get to the in-person experience. And all the time we're so lucky that participants and the CEO of the companies join us live from the KubeCon, telling us their idea of how they've been converting into this one. So I think from the 2 days of live stream, so we pick up our agenda for that, Richard. I think
Mm.
we need to do a recap of the 2025 conference, recap of 2025. Number two, we need to tell our organization how to actually balance your internal employees to send them into the conferences, because I think it's still missing. Is not many people talking about this stuff, and it is important. Like, you have security people in your team, you have DevOps people in your team, you have developers in your team, and they have their own set of conferences. Are they collecting and providing the data to the organization? So we need to give up some of our own thoughts into this perspective in the near future on this
Yeah,
topic as well.
I agree. And we've mentioned before renaming the conference. I'm still advocating for
Mhm.
just CloudNativeCon. You know, that's kind of the the best
Yes,
solution. Please, if anybody from the CNCF is watching, please consider this. It's
100%. Or let's
CloudNativeCon. It's very simple. It flows off the tongue, and it's easier to write and remember as well. The other
yes.
point I just wanted to make very quickly. So that's kind of the humorous one, the funny one, but the more serious ones. I'd like to see the CNCF actually supporting DevOps engineers, SREs, architects, and so on, who actually work at these companies, and giving them an incentive to actually attend by offering a heavily discounted ticket, or doing something that will get more of these guys to actually attend the conferences, and not just for it to be like a vendor fest sort of thing, where just the vendors kind of get together and have a party. I'd really like to see more enterprises kind of attending, and I'm saying that because I actually have personal experience with that. One of my friends who works at a company in the UK is a head of a cloud native team, and the entire team would love to attend in Amsterdam for next year, but they can't because of costs and so on. So I'd like to see this, the CNCF step up, and maybe get some of the sponsorship from the members as well, to actually offer some kind of a scheme for folks who kind of work very hard at these enterprises and make all this stuff happen in enterprises, to give them an opportunity to be able to attend KubeCon as well. So not just kind of the vendors and and everybody who's kind of affiliated with that, but actual enterprise, actual customers, and get more of the voice of the customer heard as well at
Yes,
KubeCon.
totally agree with you, because I think a lot of the very good engineer are using cloud native tools, and if they're able to share their story on the stage, that could be a very nice asset for all
Yeah,
of those newcomer who wanted to transition into the cloud native world as well. So it's a
yeah.
very good consideration here. But unfortunately, Rishabh, we have to stop here. It's been a great 2025 in terms of the live stream. I think we need to add one more for the at least 2025 year in review in journal,
Mm,
and also 2026 roadmap for our YouTube channel as well, like what we need to focus on as well, because I think
absolutely.
right now AI databases is also in the horizon. I haven't look a peek at it, but they are in the market. People are talking about it. It seemed like a new trend into the 2026 we're moving forward to as well.
Yeah, I got two words on that: graph database. That's what I'm
Okay.
going to say. You'll see a
Another
lot more of that. You'll see a lot more of that. We've talked about HashiCorp, Infragraph, but also GitLab is doing the same thing. And I think I shared that with you earlier in the week.
This means the graph is a trend in the 2026. We
Yeah.
need to hear more of the graph thing in the tech world. So that's why I think we need to deserve one more stream of the year. But it's super nice to have you all the time with me doing this conference roundup.
That's been good.
Last of the KubeCon. So thank you very much, Richard. Tons of appreciation for all the hard work you've been doing. So it's been super wonderful to hear. So thank you very much for all the tuner into this YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please do that, because I can tell you there's so much awesome content in this YouTube channel coming up, and you will be notified first, because we will be drilling very deep into the latest addition of AI, platform engineering, supply chain security, and whatever ceases to amaze you. So stay tuned and hit the subscribe button, and we're looking forward to meeting you again. Bye-bye, everyone, and have a nice day.